What happens when one of Hollywood's biggest stars walks onto a daytime talk show stage and finds himself in the middle of an absolute war of words that spirals so far out of control that security has to get involved? In just 43 seconds, one co-host's shocking comment would turn a routine interview into one of the most explosive moments in daytime television history. Michael B. Jordan walked onto the View set that morning with nothing but good intentions. He was there to talk about his latest project, to connect with the audience, and to have what he thought would be a pleasant conversation. He flashed that signature smile as he took his seat on the couch, greeting each of the co-hosts warmly. Whoopi Goldberg welcomed him with open arms. Joy Behar cracked a joke that got everyone laughing. Sarah Haynes seemed genuinely excited to have him there. But then there was Sunny Hostin, sitting at the end of the table with an expression that seemed less than thrilled. The interview started off smoothly enough. Whoopi kicked things off by asking Michael about his upcoming film, and he dove into talking about the intense preparation he went through for the role. He spoke passionately about the character's journey, about the months of training, about working with the director to bring authenticity to every scene. The audience was eating it up. You could feel the energy in the studio. This was going exactly how these things were supposed to go. "So Michael," Joy jumped in with a grin, "we heard you did all your own stunts for this one. Is that true?" Michael nodded enthusiastically. "Yeah, I really wanted to push myself. I think when you're willing to put your body on the line, it shows up on screen. The audience can feel that commitment." Sarah leaned forward, clearly impressed. "That's incredible. I don't think people realize how much work goes into these action sequences." "It's a lot," Michael agreed. "But I've got an amazing stunt team, and we spent weeks choreographing everything to make sure it was safe, but also looked real." That's when Sunny Hostin decided to chime in. "Well, I have to say," Sunny began, her tone sharp enough to cut through the warm atmosphere like a knife. "It must be nice to have all that time and money to play around with stunts, while some of us are dealing with real issues in the world." The studio went quiet. You could practically hear the audience hold their breath. Michael's smile faltered for just a second as he processed what had just been said. Whoopi shot Sunny a look, but Sunny wasn't backing down. "I'm sorry, what?" Michael asked, his voice even but clearly confused. "I'm just saying," Sunny continued, leaning back in her chair with her arms crossed. "You actors get paid millions to pretend to be heroes, while actual heroes, real people making a difference, barely get recognized." Joy tried to jump in. "Sunny, come on. We're here to talk about Michael's movie." But Sunny waved her off. "No, Joy. I think this is important. We sit here and celebrate these Hollywood figures, but what are they really doing for society?" Michael took a breath, clearly trying to keep his composure. "With all due respect, I think you're making some pretty big assumptions about what I do and don't do outside of my work." "Am I?" Sunny shot back. "Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you're just another actor cashing checks and getting applause for doing the bare minimum." The audience gasped. This was not the usual playful banter that happened on The View. This was something else entirely. Sarah looked uncomfortable, shifting in her seat. Whoopi put her hand up as if to call for a pause, but the train had already left the station. "The bare minimum?" Michael repeated, his jaw tightening. "Do you even know what I do outside of acting? Do you know about the production companies I've started to give opportunities to underrepresented voices? Do you know about the community programs I fund?" Sunny scoffed. "Oh, here we go. The celebrity charity defense. Let me guess. You wrote a check and took some pictures for Instagram?" "Actually, no," Michael said. "I show up. I mentor young filmmakers. I create jobs. I use my platform to amplify voices that don't get heard. But you've already made up your mind about who I am." Whoopi finally managed to get a word in. "Okay, let's take a breath here. Michael, we appreciate you being here, and Sunny, I think we need to." "No, Whoopi," Sunny interrupted, pointing at Michael. "I'm tired of pretending like these people are saints just because they're famous. He's sitting here talking about doing stunts like it's some kind of sacrifice." Michael stood up from the couch. The entire studio seemed to freeze. "You know what? I came here to have a conversation, not to be attacked. You don't know me. You don't know what I've been through." "Oh, please," Sunny said, rolling her eyes. "The struggle of a millionaire actor. How will you ever survive?" Joy put her hands up. "Sunny, this is getting out of hand." "Is it?" Sunny snapped back at Joy. "Or are we finally having a real conversation instead of the usual fluff?" Sarah tried to mediate. I think we can all agree that everyone here works hard in their own way. But Sunny wasn't having it. She turned back to Michael. You walk in here expecting us to bow down because you're Michael B. Jordan? But I'm not impressed. You're just another person who's been given every advantage and acts like you've earned it all yourself. That was the line. Michael shook his head slowly, a look of disbelief on his face. Every advantage? Do you know where I came from? Do you know what my family went through? Do you know how many times I was told I wasn't good enough, that I didn't belong? Everyone has a sob story, Sunny said dismissively. Whoopi stood up now, her voice firm. Okay, Sunny, that's enough. But the damage was done. Michael looked around at the panel, at Whoopi who seemed apologetic, at Joy who looked horrified, at Sarah who seemed like she wanted to disappear into her chair, and then back at Sunny who sat there with a defiant expression on her face. You know what the real problem is? Michael said, his voice steady but filled with emotion. People like you, people who tear others down to make themselves feel important. You didn't invite me here for an interview. You invited me here so you could have a target. That's not true, Sunny protested. I'm just asking the questions that need to be asked. No, Michael countered. You're being disrespectful. There's a difference between asking tough questions and being rude, and I don't have to sit here and take this. The audience was completely silent. This had gone from an interview to a confrontation. Joy looked at the producers off camera. Whoopi tried one more time. Michael, please, sit down. Let's reset this conversation. Michael looked at Whoopi with genuine respect. Whoopi, I have nothing but love for you. But I'm not going to sit here and let someone insult me on national television. Sunny laughed. Actually laughed. So you're just going to run away? How very brave of you. Run away? Michael turned to face Sunny. I'm choosing not to engage with someone who has no interest in having an actual conversation. That's not running away, that's having boundaries. Boundaries? Sunny repeated mockingly. Is that what we're calling it now? Joy finally stood up too. Sunny, seriously, stop. Why? Sunny asked. Because he's a celebrity? Because we're supposed to treat him with kid gloves? No, Joy said firmly. Because you're being cruel. There's no other word for it. Sarah nodded in agreement. This isn't okay, Sunny. This isn't what we do here. Sunny looked around at her co-hosts, clearly surprised by their reactions. Are you all serious right now? You're taking his side? There are no sides, Whoopi said, her voice carrying authority. There's just basic human decency, and you crossed a line. Michael grabbed his microphone pack and started unhooking it. I'm done here. This was a mistake. Oh, here comes the dramatic exit, Sunny said. Very Hollywood of you. Michael paused and looked at her one more time. You know, I actually feel sorry for you. You're sitting at this table with incredible people, with a platform that millions watch, and this is what you choose to do with it. You choose to be bitter and mean. That's sad. Don't you dare feel sorry for me, Sunny said, her voice rising. I don't need your pity. Clearly, you need something, Michael replied. Because happy people don't act like this. Whoopi moved toward Michael. Michael, I am so sorry about this. It's not your fault, Whoopi, Michael said, his voice softening when he addressed her. You've always been real with me. But I can't do this. I won't do this. A producer rushed onto the stage, trying to figure out what was happening. Joy was shaking her head in disbelief. Sarah had her head in her hands, and Sunny just sat there, arms still crossed, looking like she'd won some kind of victory. We need to go to commercial, the producer said urgently. Yeah, I think that's a good idea, Whoopi agreed. But Michael was already walking off the stage. The audience watched in stunned silence. This wasn't supposed to happen. Talk shows were supposed to be fun. They weren't supposed to turn into battlegrounds, Sunny called after him. That's right, walk away. Michael stopped at the edge of the stage and turned around. No, Sunny, I think we all just saw who you really are. With that, he disappeared. The studio erupted in confused chatter. Joy looked mortified. Sarah seemed close to tears. Whoopi just stood there, shaking her head. We're going to commercial, Whoopi announced. We'll be right back. As the cameras cut away, the weight of what happened hit everyone. Joy turned to Sunny. What was that? Sunny defended. Herself. I was asking real questions. Honest? Sarah said. You were being horrible. I'm not going to apologize, Sunny insisted. Whoopi walked back. What you did was an attack. That man came here as our guest, and you treated him like an enemy. Maybe someone needed to challenge him, Sunny argued. Challenge him about what? Joy demanded. He was here to talk about a movie. He wasn't here to be put on trial by you. The producer approached. We have a problem. Michael has left. He's not coming back. Whoopi nodded. We'll address it when we come back. Are we going to talk about what Sunny did? Sarah asked. We'll figure that out later, Whoopi said. Right now, we need to get through this show. Sunny finally seemed to realize the gravity of the situation. He really left? Yes, Sunny, he left, Joy said. You insulted him repeatedly. You mocked him. Of course he left. I didn't think he'd be so sensitive, Sunny muttered. Sensitive? Sada said. You'd be upset too if someone treated you like that. The stage manager called out, We're back in 30 seconds. The co-hosts returned to their seats, though the energy was different. The lightness was gone. In its place was tension and discomfort. When the cameras came back on, Whoopi addressed it. As you can see, Michael B. Jordan is no longer with us. There was a disagreement, and he chose to leave. We'll be moving on. It was diplomatic, but everyone watching knew the truth. Everyone in that studio had seen exactly what happened. They'd watched as a respected actor was insulted and belittled. They'd watched as he tried to defend himself with grace. And they'd watched as he finally decided that enough was enough. The rest of the show continued, but it was clear that nobody's heart was in it. Joy kept glancing at Sunny with disappointment. Sarah seemed distracted and upset. Whoopi maintained her professionalism, but even she couldn't completely hide her frustration with how things had unfolded. In the span of less than an hour, a routine celebrity interview had become one of the most talked about moments in The View's history. But not for the reasons anyone would have wanted. This wasn't a viral moment because of something funny or inspiring. It was viral because people had witnessed something uncomfortable, something raw, something that revealed the uglier side of live television. Michael B. Jordan had walked onto that stage as a guest, as someone there to promote his work and connect with an audience. He'd left as someone who had been pushed too far, who had been disrespected too many times, who had finally decided that his dignity was worth more than any promotional appearance. And Sunny Hostin, whether she wanted to admit it or not, had become the person who made that happen. In her quest to ask tough questions or challenge celebrity culture or whatever justification she had given herself, she had crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. She had taken what should have been a pleasant conversation and turned it into a confrontation. She had taken someone's willingness to be vulnerable and open on television and weaponized it against them. The audience that day didn't leave talking about Michael's new movie. They left talking about what they'd witnessed. They left wondering how something could go so wrong so quickly. They left debating whether Sunny had gone too far or whether Michael had overreacted. But most of all, they left with the image burned into their minds of a man who had simply had enough, who had drawn a line in the sand and walked away rather than compromise his self-respect. In those 43 seconds, when everything fell apart, when Sunny made that one comment too many, the entire trajectory of the interview changed. What was supposed to be a standard talk show appearance became a masterclass in what happens when respect disappears from a conversation. It became a reminder that celebrities are still human beings, with feelings and boundaries. It became a moment that people would reference for years to come as an example of how not to conduct an interview. The walking away, the unhooking of the microphone, the final words exchanged, all of it played out like a scene from a movie. Except this wasn't scripted. This was real. This was a real person making a real decision in real time that he wasn't going to be treated that way. And that realness, that authenticity in his reaction, was what made it so powerful. Michael B. Jordan didn't storm off in a fit of rage. He didn't throw things or scream or lose control. He simply stood up, explained why he was leaving, and walked away with his head held high. He maintained his composure even as Sunny continued to take shots at him. He took the high road even when it would have been easy to sink to her level. And in doing so, he showed everyone watching exactly what kind of person he was. The contrast couldn't have been more clear. On one side, you had someone using their platform to attack. On the other, you had someone choosing to remove themselves from a toxic situation rather than escalate it further. One person hell-bent on tearing someone down, another person refusing to participate in that destruction. As the minutes ticked by during that interview, as the tension built and built, everyone watching knew something was coming. You could feel it in the air. You could see it in Michael's changing expressions, in the way his co-host started to shift uncomfortably, in the way the audience stopped laughing and started watching with concern. The explosion was inevitable. The only question was what form it would take. And when it finally came, when Michael finally stood up and said enough, it wasn't with violence or cruelty. It was with clarity and conviction. It was with a simple statement that he deserved better and he wasn't going to settle for less. That kind of self-advocacy, especially in a moment of public scrutiny, takes courage. It takes knowing your worth and being willing to walk away from situations that don't honor that worth. Before Michael walked off, there was a moment where the entire studio seemed to hold its breath. Sunny looked at him standing there, microphone pack in hand, and she opened her mouth to say something else. But Joy cut her off. "Don't," Joy said, her voice sharp. "Just don't say another word." Sunny turned to Joy with surprise. "Excuse me?" "You heard me," Joy continued. "You've said enough, more than enough." Sarah jumped in, her voice shaking slightly. "We all watched you tear into this man for no reason. He came here in good faith, and you ambushed him." "Ambushed?" Sunny said incredulously. "I asked legitimate questions." "No," Whoopi said firmly. "You attacked him. There's a difference between journalism and cruelty, and you crossed that line about 10 minutes ago." Michael watched this exchange, still standing at the edge of the couch. He seemed almost surprised that the other hosts were coming to his defense so strongly. Sunny looked around the table, her confidence finally starting to crack just a little bit. "I can't believe you're all ganging up on me," Sunny said. "I'm the only one willing to ask the tough questions." "Tough questions?" Michael said, his voice quiet but powerful. "A tough question is asked with respect. A tough question comes from genuine curiosity, not from wanting to hurt someone. What you did wasn't journalism. It was bullying." The audience erupted in applause. Right there in the middle of the confrontation, the studio audience started clapping for Michael. It was spontaneous and genuine, and it clearly caught everyone off guard, especially Sunny. Sunny's face flushed. "Oh, so now the audience is against me too?" "Maybe that should tell you something," Sarah said quietly. "It tells me that people would rather be entertained than hear the truth," Sunny shot back. "The truth?" Michael said. And there was something powerful in his voice. "You want to talk about truth? The truth is that you don't know anything about me. You made assumptions based on what? Because I'm successful? You took one look at me and decided you knew my whole story, and you felt entitled to judge me for it." "I judge everyone equally," Sunny insisted. "Do you?" Michael challenged. "Because I've watched this show. I've seen you interview other celebrities. I've never seen you come at anyone the way you came at me today. So what is it?" Sunny didn't have an answer. She opened her mouth, closed it, then opened it again. "I treat everyone the same." "That's not true," Joy said. "Michael's right." The producer was back on stage, whispering urgently to Whoopi. The show was going off the rails, but there was something magnetic about what was happening. This was real. This was unscripted. "You know what I think?" Michael said, his voice calm and measured. "I think you came in here with an agenda. You decided before I walked through that door that you were going to make an example out of me. Whatever the reason, you chose me as your target, and that's not fair." "Life's not fair," Sunny said, but her voice had lost its earlier conviction. "You're right," Michael agreed, "but that doesn't give you the right to make it harder for other people. That doesn't give you the right to use your platform to hurt someone." Whoopi stepped between them, putting her body in the space. "Okay, I think we need to stop this right now." "Has it?" Michael asked. "Because I feel like we're finally talking about what's really happening here." "What's really happening," Sunny said, finding her voice again, "is that you can't handle criticism. You're so used to everyone worshiping you that the minute someone challenges you, you fall apart." "Sunny," Sarah practically shouted. "Stop it." But Sunny kept going. "Someone needs to say this. These celebrities walk around acting like they're doing us a favor by existing. Well, I'm not doing it. I'm not playing that game." "Nobody asked you to bow down," Michael said. "I just asked you to be respectful. That's all I wanted. Just basic human respect." "And I'm supposed to respect you because why? Because you're famous?" "No," Michael said, his voice rising. "You're supposed to respect me because I'm a human being. That's it. I'm a person with real feelings. And you've spent the last 20 minutes treating me like I'm nothing." The audience was dead silent now. This was beyond television drama. This was raw emotion on display. "I don't think you're nothing," Sunny said, but her voice wavered. "Then why are you treating me like I am?" Michael asked. "Why are you sitting there mocking my work, my life, my choices?" Sunny didn't answer. She just sat there, and for the first time since the interview started, she looked uncomfortable. Joy leaned forward. "Sunny, you need to apologize." "I'm not apologizing," Sunny said quickly. "I didn't do anything wrong." "Yes, you did," Sarah said. "You absolutely did something wrong. You hurt someone, intentionally, on live television." Michael shook his head. "I don't want an apology. Not anymore. You can't unsay the things she said. You can't undo the way she made me feel." He looked at Whoopi one more time. "I'm sorry this happened on your show. I have to go." "I understand," Whoopi said quietly. "I'm so sorry, Michael. It shouldn't have happened," Michael agreed. He started walking toward the exit again, but Sunny couldn't help herself. "You're making a mistake. Walking out like this makes you look weak." Michael stopped. He turned around slowly. "You really think that? You really think standing up for myself makes me look weak?" "Running away always looks weak," Sunny said. "I'm not running away," Michael said, and his voice was steel. "I'm choosing myself. I'm choosing my peace. I'm choosing not to stay in a place where I'm not valued. That's not weakness. That's strength. And if you can't see that, then I feel sorry for you." Sarah was crying now, actual tears running down her face. "I'm so sorry, Michael. We're not all like this. I promise we're not all like this." "I know," Michael said gently. "You've been nothing but kind. All of you have, except for one person. And that one person is enough reason for me to leave." Joy stood up and walked over to Michael. She gave him a hug. "You're a good man. Don't let anyone make you doubt that." "Thank you," Michael said. The producer was pulling his hair out. The commercial break was overdue. The show was in chaos. But this was bigger than television. This was a moment. Michael gave the audience a small wave. Many waved back. Some were crying, moved by what they'd witnessed. This wasn't entertainment. This was real. Something that reminded everyone that the people on their screens were actual people with actual feelings. As Michael finally walked off the stage, Sunny sat at the table, arms still crossed, but her face told a different story. She looked smaller, like the weight of what she'd done was starting to sink in. The other hosts wouldn't look at her. The audience wouldn't look at her. The view stage that day became a battleground not of ideas, but of respect. And in that battle, there was a clear winner and a clear loser. The winner was the person who knew when to walk away. The loser was the person who pushed so hard that walking away became the only option.